vicinity of Khartoum International Airport. A drone attack hit the vicinity of Khartoum International Airport early Tuesday, 21st of October, just one day before Sudanese authorities planned to reopen the facility for domestic flights. Witnesses reported hearing multiple explosions and drones over central and southern Khartoum between 4 and 6 a.m. local time. The airport has been shut since April 2023 when fighting broke out between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, damaging vital infrastructure. Drone strikes have continued targeting military and civilian areas, including northern Omdurman, while the government pushes reconstruction and the return of officials to the capital. The conflict has left millions displaced, thousands dead, and sees the RSF still fighting to control the west, including El Fasher, the last major city in Darfur outside their control. Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Charles Sinkala. He's an international relations expert, joins us live from Johannesburg. Thank you very much for joining us again. Welcome to News6 World. Now, looking at this, what are the implications of these RSF forces and the fight with the Sudanese government? What's the situation in Sudan now?
Thank you very much for having me, and it has always been a pleasure for participating on this platform.
Thank you.
Sudan has been engulfed by infighting, and mostly it is initiated by the outside forces. As one conversely understands the third law of conflict, that for every conflict there must be a third parties that are involved. Briefly, we can talk about the history of how Israel. Sudan was split into two, South Sudan and the usual Sudan, where it was made into two countries because of the infighting that has been going there, not only now, but for many years. And this has continued, although sometimes we can see that probably there is some peace, some agreements that has been signed, and they have come to some conclusions, but all these treaties that has been signed has led nothing but the continuous bloodshed and the killing of the innocent civilians in Sudan, especially South Sudan.
And how does this ongoing conflict impact the stability and humanitarian conditions there? Should international actors intervene more actively?
Yes, indeed. We need the international community, the regional organizations, and as well as the international communities that has to, come to find a lasting solution, especially where aid and as well as the de-escalation of military within that region. But some are accused, especially other international organizations such as the United Nations, for lending a deaf ear, to the cry and the killings of the people in Sudan. And this has exacerbated and made it very difficult for peace to be restored. As we are speaking, economically, the nation Sudan and South Sudan combined, they've been paralyzed as their economic activities has been shut down, as some areas are engulfed or they are perpetrated or controlled by the insurgents who are being funded heavily in terms of military and as well as financial support, which makes it very difficult for aid to reach the targeted civilians.
And do you think that as Sudan has like two different or to simultaneously have two different leaders, how is this seen in Africa? How is this news covered in Africa?
Well, instability in Sudan is instability in South Africa. Instability in Palestine is instability in Israel. As the world goes on like that, as we are intertwined in terms of the interconnectedness of human lives and activities, such incidences in Sudan as dearly affecting other economies, especially the neighboring region, and as well as the southern region, which we are fully dependent in terms of the exchange of bilateral and multilateral relationships between the countries, and as well as internationally for tourists and others, which has been affected. And I think the world needs to reconvene at the moment at the hands of the United Nations Security Council and the other wings that pretend that they're keeping or maintaining peace in the world, to relook at how these wars and the internal factions are exacerbated, and as well as the neighboring relations between Sudan and South Sudan and other regions, and how can they be a brother's keeper.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles Sinkala, for sharing that very impactful message over here. And please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now we move on.